See you, dear.
Have a nice ride.
Thanks. Hello and welcome to Dock Rides. We're going for a little one today. I gotta go back to Mom's house. I think I'll go this way. I'm actually in New Brunswick, in Quispamsis, New Brunswick, if this is your first time watching. And there's some pretty areas around here to explore and check out. Let's go into sport mode. I'm feeling a little crazy today. No, I'm just I like riding in sport mode. Yeah, so I thought I don't know, just share some stories about what's been going on in my life and some of the embarrassing things I've done on and off a motorcycle. And I thought I'd tell you about the stupidest crash I ever got into, but it was actually a really good learning opportunity for me. So I've been riding since I was a little kid. I bought myself my first dirt bike when I was 11, and actually my long-suffering and ever-loving father had to pay to get it fixed because I ran out of money buying the XR80 itself. So I've ridden for quite a long time. This is actually my son and his friend are trying to go fishing. This is their bicycles right here. And I don't know if they're thinking they can fish right beside the highway. I'm not sure what they think. I told him to go on the path back here, but the path is actually, he obviously doesn't know, but it's actually right here. So maybe I should have been a little bit more clear in my instructions. I'll show him tonight. Anyway, yeah, so I rode that XR80 for a long time, and then had the XT350, and then a Suzuki Madura 1200, and then finally, once I got my finished my residency and fellowship, I bought myself a Super Glide Custom, and that's the bike I traded this bike in for. The Super Glide Custom was, I mean, it was a really pretty bike, and it had a lot of character, like the that V-twin engine, the way it lopes on a so I don't know if you know Harley-Davidsons, but they have two different types of engines, or they did back when I was interested in buying them. They had counterbalanced and non-counterbalanced engines. The non-counterbalanced engines were in the Dyna line, and the Softails all had counterbalanced engines. Let these guys go. Anyway, so I had the Dyna. The Super Glide Custom is in the Dyna line. They have like the springs on the back, but it still has it had the big 96 cubic inch engine with the stage 1 on it. And man, that thing was a rocket ship. It was really fun. Now, was it as fast as this? No, it wasn't, but because it was of the ergonomics of it, it felt really fast, and it had a lot of low down torque. Like, I find this torque is smooth throughout the rev range. That thing, you kind of torqued out around I don't know, 3,000 RPM probably, and then it stopped making as much power or torque. I don't know. Torque is twisting force, so the twisting force on the rear tire, but they say torque is what you feel. I've had cars. I had an older BMW M3, and it only made 295 pound-feet of torque, but it had 414 horsepower, and the thrill of the acceleration picking up as you got into the upper rev range, I think that's the horsepower that you're feeling. Anyway, it was a deadly car. I friggin' loved that car. Maybe we'll go this way. We'll do a little ride up Means Cove area. Except I turned too early. I'm not good. I've lived here for 15 years, and before that I lived here when I was a kid, and I still can't find my way around. It's still a pretty ride up here. Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh, the Harley. I loved riding it, And my dad bought his Harley, which is the Road King Classic that I now have. And the stupidest accident I ever had was we rode out to the Kingston Peninsula, and I had ridden, because I'd grown up on dirt bikes and the dual sport bike, my experience in riding in the dirt was fairly aggressive, to be honest. Like, I was used to bikes that you could kind of throw around in the dirt. And we went down to a restaurant that had a dirt parking lot, like and you probably already know where this is going if you've ever experienced this. And I was coming out of the parking lot. Thank God it wasn't like a high-speed accident. I was going like, I don't know, 15 kilometers an hour or something. And a car cut me off, and just backing out of his parking spot, didn't see me. And instead of hitting the back brake, I hit the front brake and washed out the front wheel and tipped over. And weirdly, I had, thankfully I had motorcycle boots on. I kind of ruined them. I put a hole in them. The gear lever so I fell onto the left side. The gear lever went through the boot where the sole meets the leather. And it landed on my leg, but it wasn't extremely painful because it wasn't going very fast. I'm just trying to remember. Yeah, let's go down. No, we'll go on Model Farm Road. It's really pretty too. I don't know. This is all nice. This is cool country out here. Anyway, the other thing, the derby cover on the bike, on that bike, I think was on the left side, and I scratched it all up. But thankfully, I didn't scratch up the paint. So it ended up being okay. It was like I had to replace the gear lever. I drove home using the linkage, like it was hanging off, but I could still somehow pull it into gear. So I got into like second gear and just went home slowly. But I guess there's no need to be in sport mode anymore, is there? It doesn't go into tour mode or sport mode until you pull in the clutch. So like, it'll flash, sport, 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 pull in the clutch, and then it's in sport mode. It does make a difference. I know it's just the throttle mapping or whatever, but it definitely, you can feel a difference in the way it rides. Anyway, all said, it was, I don't know, it was like $1,000 of stuff, because Harleys are, if anything, if nothing else, they're expensive to fix when you break them. These are parts of the Kennebecasis River. That's obviously a big mooring area, but I don't think it's actually a yacht club. People moor their boats there and then use dinghies to get out to them. There's a boat launch down here, and when my wife was pregnant, we did our pictures in here before Jack was born. And then after he was born, we did some family photos in there, and I think a couple of them are still up on our wall. We kind of hoard family photos in our family, and I figure if you're going to hoard something, that's probably the best thing to hoard. Although, if you have kids, I don't know if it feels like this to everyone, but every time they enter a new stage of life, I kind of grieve the last stage a little bit. I'm so glad, you know, certainly beats the alternative. I probably shouldn't have waved at her. She thinks I'm a pervert now. This goes back to nobody trusts anybody anymore. I was just being nice. I wasn't really paying attention. Anyway, you know, like, so as your kids get older, like he's now kind of entering adolescence, and I miss the little kid that he was. But he's a great guy. He's a really good kid. I hope he stays good. This is the challenging part, but I think he's got a good background. Like he already has values, and kind of knows who he wants to be. He doesn't know what he wants to do, but he knows he wants to be a gentleman and that kind of thing. And that's always a good thing to teach your young men, I think. But don't take my word for it. I could be bailing him out of prison any day. You never know what's going to happen. Anyway, I'm sure he's fine. Yeah, so that accident, what it taught me was about using your front brake in the dirt and why not to do it. That was probably, I don't know, 10 years ago now, maybe more than that. But yeah, I haven't had that particular incident happen again. Most of the incidents I get into are from blind corners, obviously, but I've toned it way the heck down. Road conditions have been brutal. So if you ride to the road conditions, you're usually okay. But I've had a few close calls due to potholes I didn't see, or swerving to avoid deer. Those have been the two big things. New Brunswick, where I live, like you can see the roads here. This is such a pretty area. I imagine these are all horse farms and stuff. I'm not sure that's kind of the case is out there. New Brunswick has been traditionally a have-not province. We had big industry, I shouldn't say traditionally, but in my lifetime. I gotta wipe some sweat off my eyebrow. There we go. We had big industry with forestry, like you'd never guess, but forestry is big here. And we had a lot of industry with fishing and that kind of thing. As those died off, we had a shipyard that was big business. And we had an Irving oil refinery, which was the other big business. Hammond River Park, I don't think I've ever been there. This is a nice ride though. But what happened with our forestry industry was, I think the big players like JD Irving bought out a lot of the smaller players, and they also, you know, because they have so much business, they've kind of dictated non-competitive policy. I'm not like an anti-capitalist. I'm probably one of the bigger capitalists that you've heard of. but you know, there is a point where when you have too much influence in government and policy crushes the little guy, as opposed to just being crushed by competition or bought out. Maybe that's not good for business type thing, the overall economic environment. So so that industry, even though it generates lots of jobs and people have jobs, they're not always super high paying jobs. Some of them are though. Like I gotta say, like I have some friends who are management, I believe, at the company, and they have a great life. Like they would make a lot more than a physician would. But that's not saying a whole lot in New Brunswick. I'm not complaining. This is not a good Crimea River, right? No, outside of that though, there's not a lot of big industry. And the oil refinery, we keep thinking it's been sold or is in the process of being sold. I mean, there will still be refinery jobs, which is good, but the management jobs, like the headquarters jobs, which are the really high-paying jobs, and they're probably the highest-paying jobs in the province, those are probably getting shipped out, right? Which is a real shame. And so our downtown, like in St. John, which is the closest big city to where I live, is economically really struggling. There's a lot of vacant buildings and that kind of thing. It's not like Detroit, but it's not great. We also have a lot of problems uptown with drugs and homelessness, and I think part of that, this again, not a political video, I'm not blaming any one person or party or whatever, but I think a big part of that, this is my dad's favorite ride, by the way, this part. He made me film him doing this, riding along, because this is the river over here. When he found out he was dying of cancer, he made me stand where that sign is and film him coming around the corner and going by and send it to him, and he just watched it over and over again when he was getting chemotherapy. Poor guy. You know, he loved life. He absolutely loved life. Anyway, part of the problem that we have is there's been so much immigration, and because it's a lot of immigration from, I don't want to say like third world countries, but the Middle East and Africa, and New Brunswick, like where we live, the cost of living is a lot lower because people make a lot less money. So now the problem is that we've got more people than we have homes, and then on top of that, we've had a lot of like really soft on crime governments come through. And there's the Hammond River Angling Association across the street from this church, and that's where my son goes to camp. Anyway, so yeah, a lot of fentanyl and like cocaine issues in the city, a lot of addiction problems, a lot of homelessness, and starting to be quite a bit of crime, which is really sad. So when I'm working at the Uptown Hospital, I used to take my motorbike all the time, and now I'm kind of like sketched out the idea of leaving a bike up there, just because if they can try to get the bags off and sell them, they will. You know, it's just a shame. But there's lots of beauty left in the country, obviously. Look at this place. It's fantastic. The cities are just really getting hammered, unfortunately. How the hell did I start talking about that? I think maybe I've got a bit of early onset dementia here. I was telling one guy, so as if you've seen a couple of these videos, you know I was struggling a lot with the sound on these videos, and the last couple haven't been too bad. I've had to turn them down a little bit to avoid clipping, but they're not atrocious. I was telling one guy, the cheek pads on this helmet have gotten quite a bit tighter in the last few years, and I'm thinking I'm just getting fatter and bigger jowls. He said, "Oh no, the cheeks pack in and they fit better after a while." Well, I've had the helmet for 4 years. It fit great 4 years ago. So when I'm talking, I'm always kind of chewing on the mucosa of my inner cheeks, my buccal mucosa. So they're a little bit raw, and maybe I'm making the videos too long, or maybe I'm talking way the heck too much. Oh, I'm a dick. I didn't wave. There was another guy. I got some new gear this year that I'd like to talk about a little bit, because I'm kind of liking it. So I have 2 main jackets and 1 extra jacket that I use. I use, this is a Klim, I think it's called like a Badlands, and I've had it a while, and it is a really good jacket. Like I used to buy the cheapest possible leather jacket and wear it all the time, but this little sucker was not cheap, unfortunately, but I did get it on sale. I think they maybe are stopped making this color or something. Here, we'll listen to the bike accelerate for a second. Oh, baby. Oh, you gotta love that. Man, oh man. Put the windshield up in case the wind noise is too bad. Anyway, the Klim Badlands has been my go-to jacket. The only downside of it is for day-to-day riding, like just going into the hospital, going into work and stuff, it's pretty heavy. It's really well vented. You can see I've got some of the vents in the arms open, and it's hot today. It's probably 30 degrees. I'm totally comfortable. Like, I feel like I'm wearing a mesh jacket as opposed to you know, this heavy Kevlar or whatever it is material. So it's been awesome. But for days where you just want to whip on something fast, I actually got a used Klim Latitude jacket. They're both a little bit too big for me. They're both XXL. I probably should have gotten the XL, but in the fall, like, I spend so much of the year wearing a sweater under my jacket. Just for reference, I'm 6'3" and around 250 pounds. I probably could have gone XL. It looked better in XL, but you know, looks aren't everything. When you look like me, looks don't even really matter that much. There's nothing you can do about the face. It's an old, wrinkly old face. There's a lot of snow on the roof too these days. I'm in my 40s, and I'm probably the whitest haired dude of anyone in my age cohort that I work with. But and I got a white beard that looks a little bit like Osama bin Laden's beard. Not intentionally. It's not a style I'm trying to rock. It's just when it grows out, that's what it looks like. So yeah, the looks didn't matter so much. It was more a comfort decision. I like things being a little bit loose and then having room for a sweater, like a bulky sweater, because I wear a lot of wool sweaters and that kind of thing in the fall and early winter. And I like to ride right up until there's ice on the ground, then I stop. Yeah, so the Klim Badlands has been good. The Klim Latitude, though, it doesn't have the waist belt. Like, this has a belt that you Velcro together inside, and it holds the jacket up so it doesn't put any pressure on your shoulders. And it's really nice. Like, it actually is probably more comfortable because of that. But the Latitude is way faster to take on and off. It's not as stiff, and it's probably a couple pounds heavy, or less heavy. This is a heavy-ass jacket. So often you'll see me in the Latitude, the black one. These gloves are new. There was a sale on at the Motoplex or whatever, and I ordered them. And actually, it was just this color that was on sale, so I didn't order the ones that matched the jacket. I think they're the Badlands gloves. The reason I ordered new gloves, I love my other ones that you've seen me wear. The other ones are Roland Sands, I think, and I prefer deer skin over everything else, just because of the abrasion resistance. But the gloves I had were so friggin' hot in the summer. They weren't well ventilated. These have, you can see the vents on the knuckles there. This is my first ride in them. They're awesome. I do have, this is a confession here, I'm a bit of a squid. These are just regular jeans. I usually wear regular jeans because I'm going into work, and I work in my jeans. if I'm not in the OR, I don't like change into scrubs or anything unless I'm working in the OR. And I'm one of those guys who wears jeans to work. I don't know, the way medicine works in Canada, you work for yourself like you're a small business essentially, and so you contract to the government, but they set the prices for your fees, and then they basically pay you fee for service, but you don't have any benefits. I do, but I have to buy them myself, kind of thing. So I figured, since I'm my boss and I'm signing my own paychecks, I'm going to have a pretty relaxed dress code. Most of the time when I'm there, I don't deal a lot directly with patients, and when I do, it's usually something that the patients don't notice what the doctor's wearing. I don't want to get too specific about what I do. But if you see me, you're usually having a fairly bad day. Or otherwise, I also do like NOR side of things, and then you don't care what I'm wearing because it's just hospital scrubs. So the jeans, I should be wearing the armored jeans. I feel like if I go down, I'm really going to regret not wearing the Kevlar jeans. I have a pair. There's no good excuse not to wear them other than I just find them really hot. And then the boots, so I was wearing, my god, the ones that I have a hole in them from crashing the other bike. I can't even remember what brand they are. Danes maybe? I can't remember, but they look like regular boots. I've never worn the big, tall, like adventure riding boots. I had a pair that I wore on my DRZ 400, but they weren't very comfortable, and I would never like wear them to work. But these guys are the Icon Stormhawks. Unfortunately, I take a size 13, so you always have pretty limited options. Probably hard to see them, but there they are. I'm gonna put her back down into tour mode. I don't know if it's just my imagination, but the exhaust baffles seem louder in sport mode than tour mode. I don't know. I don't know if they did that on purpose, or if it's just that you're riding harder or accelerating harder, or the throttle's mapped differently. I'm gonna put that down, see the river a little better. The fog's coming in. I might have to park in Mom's garage. I hate riding in the rain. I will do it. The Stormhawk boots, the reason I got them is because I don't like having wet feet for long periods of time. So one of the rides that we'll do, I'll either go up to Miramichi, or we'll go to Shediac, or to Pugwash, Nova Scotia. All three are really pretty. Hey, I was just saying how Harley guys don't wave as much. That dude waved. I think he's on a Sportster. But what the hell was I saying? Oh yeah, I got the Stormhawk boots because I hate having wet feet. And I also wanted to try, they have a BOA lace system, which my wife has on her fishing boots. My wife and son both have them on their fishing boots. And they're super convenient. And I gotta say, I freaking love them. Now I want all my shoes to have this lace system. Am I lazy? Arguably, yes. I'm driving around on a couch. Of course I'm lazy. But it's just a good system. They fit really well. And so I take a size 13 shoe, and I ordered these in 13, and man, they fit perfect. They're really, really comfortable. I haven't crash tested, obviously, the gloves or the shoes. I haven't crash tested the jacket, but I've been whacked pretty hard in the jacket by a door, and gotta say, didn't hardly felt it. I'm really planning not to crash test any of this stuff. I will tell you the story about the second stupidest crash I ever had. I might have told the story before, but it involves the Road King Classic. So my dad, when he bought his bike, Dad was an engineer. He had worked at Irving Oil, and then worked at a company called Exogen in San Francisco, and I think it was Genesis first, and then Exogen. Then they started a branch of Exogen here in St. John, and then after that he went out on his own and did Swan and Associates Consulting. And Dad was, I mean, such a nice man and extremely generous. But you know, he was moderately successful, but he didn't have a lot when he died to leave for Mom, unfortunately. So he was never like a rich man. So he wanted to save money, but he wanted the Harley desperately badly. So he bought a demo, and the good thing about buying a demo is that he got to take it, it was like a demo, but it was a bike that they rented out. You used to be able to rent bikes from Eldridge's in St. John. So he rented it and told them, look, I'm interested in buying it. So they didn't charge him to rent it. And this was in 2014. His bike was a 2010, and he brought it home, and he was concerned because he didn't know if the bike had ABS. And keep in mind, like, I think I was just getting my first iPhone. So it wasn't like I wasn't quickly referencing things on the internet, like, how do you know if your Harley has ABS, which would have been the smart thing to do. What I did instead was I said, well, let's just lock up the brakes on the lawn and see if it clicks or if it slides, thinking, how hard can it be? I'm used to riding a dirt bike. This was before my other crash, by the way. And so, like an asshole, I rode into his lawn at about the speed I'm going right now. So what'd that be? Maybe 20 kilometers an hour. And hit the back brakes and dropped the bike immediately. It was 800 pounds. It was not the same as a DRZ 400, or at that time the only, the biggest dirt bike I had been a XT 350, and you could like slide the tail around on it. This thing just immediately fell over. And it had a crash bar on the front, which kind of protected me from having my leg squashed, but the front fork kind of picked up a lot of grass and mud and dirt and whatnot, and I said, well, I guess it doesn't have ABS. I'm sorry, Dad. He bought it anyway, and to make up for my transgression, I bought him a Batwing to put on it because he wanted a Batwing as well. So he got the bike that he wanted. But then after I inherited it, I was riding it earlier this year. No, I inherited it, sorry, he died around Christmas of 2018. Oh man, I don't know what's going on. Hopefully nothing bad. But after I got the bike, I took it for a ride, and I went to slow down for a stop sign, and the front brake just went whoosh, 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 and I thought, what the hell is that? So I took it in this year just to get the oil changed and stuff, and I said, the front brake makes this whoosh, whoosh, whoosh sound. I wonder if the rotor's bent or something. They said, oh yeah, somebody must have dropped it. It's got a bent front rotor, like it's pushed the caliper back. So I've had to replace the rotors, do the calipers, everything else. This is the lawn where I crashed it. Anyway, so those are my crash stories. I hope you have a good day. I'll upload this in a few days. Thanks again so much for watching and liking and subscribing. It's been really cool. It's a great community. I hope you're okay with other bikes as well. Neutral, there it is. And we'll see you next time.